Well, hello everybody, welcome to Jeff's baking blog. Today I'm going to make Speculaas cookies. These are the spiced cookies which are so popular in the Netherlands, and a variant of them in Belgium and such like, in the lead up to Christmas. I think they actually may eat them on about the 5th or 6th of December, but certainly for me, I want to eat them around Christmas time. So I'm going to make some today just to show you how to do them, and then I'll make more later on in the lead up to Christmas for myself. Now they're using the same Speculaas Spice that I used in the bundt cake the other day, and below that video I put details of how you can make your own Speculaas Spice if you can't buy it. It's basically a mixture of cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, cardamom, mace, ginger and white pepper, and it's a very nice spice, I have to say. Now for mine I'm going to use the moulds, the wooden moulds which I bought recently, and I'm also going to use some cookie cutters to cut some out. So I'll show you both ways of doing it. If you don't have the moulds, which are difficult to get, then you can still make these delicious cookies with cookie cutters. So for the ingredients, I have 225 grams of cake and pastry flour. That works out at 1 3/4 cups plus a teaspoon. Now if you can't get cake and pastry flour, which is 00 flour, and some people have a problem, for this amount of flour, if you weigh out your 225 grams and then take out 2 tablespoons full and replace it with the same volume, 2 tablespoons of corn flour, and mix it together, that will make the soft cake and pastry flour for you. Then I have 113 grams, which is 1 stick of softened unsalted butter. I have 125 grams, which is 5/8 of a cup of soft brown sugar. I have 2 tablespoons, 30 millilitres of milk. You could use buttermilk. I have 1 tablespoon of Speculaas Spice, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now the baking soda is optional. If you want a brittle cookie, then you can leave it out. If you want a more crunchy cookie, which is what I want, and which is, I think, more traditional, then you put it in. So the first thing I'm going to do is to just mix all these dry ingredients together. And the one thing that definitely does is immediately give off the aroma of all those lovely spices. Now you could sift this together if you wanted to, but using a little whisk like this is fine. So then I will set that aside, and into my bowl I'm going to put the sugar and the butter, and I'm going to cream that together. Now I'm going to do that with my hand mixer, but you can do it by hand if you want to. So that's reasonably well mixed together. I'm just going to scrape the bowl down, and then I'm going to pour in the milk, and I'm going to mix that in until it's all nice and smooth. And with that mixed like that, what I'm going to do is pour our flour mixture into it, and I'm going to work as quickly as I can and form that into a dough. And having mixed it for a little bit, I'm now using my hand just to squeeze that until I get it into a ball. And that's good enough. So what I want to do is I want to make that into a flattened disc, like that, and then I'm going to wrap that in plastic wrap, and I'm going to chill it in the fridge for about an hour. You could actually chill it overnight and it will let the flavours develop that little bit more, but I'll do it for about an hour, and then I'll come back and we'll be ready to roll out and form and also press into the moulds so that we'll have our cookies ready for baking. The dough has chilled in the fridge, and it's been actually more like an hour and a half that I've chilled it for because I was doing something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by making some in my Speculoos moulds, and I also have a baking tray which I've lined with parchment paper. So first thing I'm going to do is to cut this in half, or roughly half, so I have some which I put back in the fridge to use for using the cookie cutters. And then if you have some moulds like these, you need to liberally dust them with some fine rice flour. This is to make it easier to get the dough out. So then you take a piece of your dough, and that's too much, and then you press it into the mould, like that, and then with a very sharp knife you cut down, and then hopefully it will come out like that, and then you can brush off the excess flour. So I cut out, or I pressed out 6 windmills and 4 people, 2 men and 2 women. So I'll put those to one side, and I'm just going to roll the remaining dough out if I can. And it doesn't matter the shape because it's not enough to do what I want to do completely. So I'm going to roll that onto the rolling pin like that, and I'm going to just gently lay it over this tray which has some Christmas shapes in it. And then I'm going to pick that off, and I have my little Christmas shapes. I now have 2 trays of cookies waiting to bake, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to chill those in the fridge again while I preheat my oven to 165 Celsius. That's 145 Celsius with a fan, which is about 322 Fahrenheit. And after the oven has preheated, I'm going to bake them for 16 to 18 minutes, particularly for the large ones, maybe slightly shorter for the smaller ones. And I'll take them out, let them cool for a couple of minutes, then put them onto a wire rack to cool completely, and I'll come back and show you the results. I baked the cookies for 17 minutes, then I took them out of the oven and I've let them cool down completely. In fact, I've actually eaten some already. And this is what they look like, the larger ones than the small ones, and they're nice and crunchy, so I'll have a little taste for you. So they taste so good. They're sweet and spicy with all those different spices, cardamom, cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg and such like. Nice and crunchy and just right for this time of year. They're very easy to make, so I think this is one that's worth giving a go for Christmas, and I will be back with another recipe soon. So if you've enjoyed this one, please give me the thumbs up below the video and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then in the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, which will take you to the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. Then I'll be back with something new very soon, so in the meantime, happy baking.